Can AUKUS save Taiwan? The world is talking about the big deal that was signed in San Diego in America. The Western media is celebrating Christmas early this year, but here's a question that no one is asking. Can AUKUS really save Taiwan? Because the moment you ask what may seem like a question with an obvious answer, the deal becomes a complete bit of a hogwash. And what no one is telling you is that the AUKUS deal has a fundamental problem that defeats the very purpose that it is supposedly destined to serve. And we'll answer this for you by repeating this question for a third time. Can the AUKUS military alliance save Taiwan? Now, the answer is no, it won't. And let me tell you a little on what this deal is all about. It is about taking forward the nuclear partnership between Australia, the United Kingdom, and also the United States. The AUKUS is about enabling Australia to counter the Chinese offensive. How? By equipping Australia by selling it nuclear-powered submarines. The United States is selling Australia 3 Virginia-class attack submarines. Now, these submarines come at a price tag, a jaw-dropping price tag of $268 billion. This price tag could go even higher, to as much as about $368 billion, which is more than the GDP of Singapore and Malaysia. So what is special about these submarines? Well, they can actually stay submerged for as long as you want. They can launch powerful missiles. As many as about 38 weapons can be loaded on these vehicles. And they can also host as many as 135 crew members on board. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is calling these submarines as the biggest single investment in Australia's defence capacities. The British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has said that thousands of jobs will be created in Britain as a result of this deal. But there is a slight problem, because remember, AUKUS is neither a Manrega or an employment generation scheme, nor is it a sovereign fund. AUKUS, at the core of it, is about countering the rise of China. When these three countries came together under the AUKUS umbrella, they had promised to counter China's influence in the Indo-Pacific, to ensure a free, open and an inclusive Indo-Pacific. But the San Diego AUKUS deal does not even begin to scratch the surface. Because this deal means that nothing is actually likely to be done in case China decides to invade Taiwan, which of course happens to be the most immediate war in the Indo-Pacific. The United States has said that the submarines will be delivered by early 2030s. It could be sometime in the 2035 region or even later. The United States will be delivering these submarines at its leisure. There is no certainty, but China is certain that it wants to unify Taiwan with mainland China, and it will not hesitate to use force to do this. And even American military generals are predicting that China could invade Taiwan by as early as 2025. That is about 3 years from now. So the question, of course, is this: what will AUKUS actually do or achieve in countering China in the next 3 years? There could be a computer sketch of the submarines at best, or framed photographs of the San Diego handshakes of the three world leaders. Now, which of these two weapons do you think will help in defending Taiwan? Handshakes or a 3D model of a submarine? Now, and also, did we mention that the sale of the Virginia-class submarines needs the approval of the US Congress, which, by the way, Biden is yet to secure. And last we checked, there were still some lawmakers who opposed the sale of these nuclear submarines to Australia. So do you see the obvious paradox here in the AUKUS deal? There is a fundamental mismatch between the AUKUS timeline and what it can do and the reality that is now developing in the Indo-Pacific. We're looking at a war in about 3 years from now. And the AUKUS is speaking in the vaguest and the most stretched deadlines possible, early 2030s. Now, what is one to make of AUKUS? Now, to put it bluntly, it's nothing more than American hocus pocus. It is the United States of America and its military-industrial defense complex trying to sell weapons, donating its old toys to a step sibling. The other is, of course, of being a spendthrift.
So today, as we stand at the inflection point in history, where the hard work of enhancing deterrence and promoting stability is going to affect the prospect of peace for decades to come,
we are bound, above all, by our belief in a world where the sovereignty of every nation is respected and the inherent dignity of every individual is upheld.
All right, so that is what these leaders have to say. They're describing it as an inflection point. But if you look at the details of this deal, it's nothing more than an expensive eyewash. This deal is words and figures that are floating in the air. By 2030s, Australia will have about 3 American submarines. And post that, Australia will have the option to purchase 2 more submarines. By late 2030s, the United Kingdom is expected to deliver its first home-built nuclear submarine. Now, mark the use of the term expected, because there is no certainty here either. And if late 2030s was not enough, there's also a plan for early 2040s. And that is when Australia will actually deliver the British subs to its Navy. 2040. Can you think of this timeline? By the time the Aukus would have executed its multi-stage plan, the Dragon would have stretched its wings multifold. China already has its coast guards and its maritime militia around Taiwan, the Philippines, in Malaysia, Brunei and Vietnam. China is already building artificial islands in the South China Sea. The Beijing has also just launched its 3rd aircraft carrier this year in 2022. Full-fledged rehearsals of the Taiwan war are underway by Beijing, with almost daily breaches of Taiwan's air defense identification zone. So when the day comes when China finally sounds the war bugle, and this will happen under Xi Jinping, and the PLA troops in fact swoop down towards Taiwan, the AUKUS will expose itself as completely irrelevant for the war that it has been prepared for. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.